Scene two, take one.
Kakina, Gilbert Whiteduck, Anishnabe. My name is Gilbert Whiteduck. I'm from the Anishnabe First Nation, located north of Ottawa. Well, I think what's important to know, depending where you're residing, of course, is to, first of all, understand on which territory you're on and acknowledging that. What I mean by that is acknowledging it in your own mind on a daily basis. You don't have to make this a big event all the time, but you know every day, that I have gratitude to be on this land that on which that particular nation has resided for thousands and thousands of years, and continue to reside on it. You can obviously then call people in the community and say, could we have a talk? I want to learn more, and would you have a few moments to share? And sometimes it'll work and sometimes it won't. It's just not to give up on it. It's just not to give up. But I believe that most communities, if people have time, of course it's an issue of time, are open and do want to share because it's so important. I know often, educators in particular are either afraid to approach or even I won't say afraid, but concerned to go to a community where they say, well, I've got to talk only to the chief, or no, go to powwows, go to events, and don't talk to only a few people, try to talk to everyone. Some people believe that sometimes that while they're walking, they've made an error, they've made a mistake, or I shouldn't have done that. My belief is that no one makes a mistake. Unless you're doing it with purpose to hurt someone, that's different. But when you're doing it for the right reasons, those things that happen are learning opportunities that you need to extract from to help you grow. Never to hold back, never not do anything because we're afraid to do something. We do it, and when we do it, when it comes from our heart, it can only come from a good place, and the outcome of somebody saying, hey, that's wrong, shouldn't worry, because something has been learned from it. Now, protocol. Now, it all depends. With protocol, it often depends on the person that you're dealing with. And as we know that when we approach someone normally, elders and other people, we're going to give tobacco. That's the normal. And keeping in mind that tobacco is not a payment. Some people think I've given tobacco, I paid you. No, tobacco is that you're asking me for something, knowledge or whatever it may be. And in return, if I take your tobacco, that means I'm willing to spend time with you. I could refuse your tobacco. And that will only mean, no, I'm not angry at you. It only means this is not the right time. So it varies from protocol to protocol. But again, as I just said, for me, I've always believed in flexibility, using everything as a teaching moment, because what I'm able to share, what the individual is asking, I'm getting enriched from that. There is no doubt that when a teacher has Indigenous students in a classroom, the educator needs to take the time to find out again where they're from, connect with the parents, try to find out as much as possible to try to make that classroom inviting. And I realize that trauma will continue to be there, and trauma with tears, with emotions, with anger, and all of those things are still deep. And the students in a classroom sometimes, without knowing that they're carrying it from their homes through normalized practices, normalized ways of doing things. Because what do you do when you have trauma? What do you do when you have pain? You either deal with it or you push it down. And you push it down, and some students do, they push it down because who wants to feel pain? No one. And then all of a sudden one day an educator speaks about a topic, and all of a sudden that trauma, that pain comes out, and that young person, like, where's it coming from? And that's why educators are not just educators. There's so much more. There's so much more, and as we well know, in those instances, as educators get to know the students and what's what and do the best that they can, it's that connection that you have with your students. I always go back to the heart, that gentle, you know, you don't have to go run over in a big hug and I'm going to cry with you. That's not what it's about. But to say, I'm sitting there with you. Nothing has to be said. I'm sitting there with you. I want you to know you're not alone. We're doing this together. So the educators need to know when these things happen, which may happen in the classroom, which can be also actions of anger, getting really angry. Why is she teaching that? Or why is he teaching that? Why in that way? Who does that white person think who they are? So they become experts now? To not take it personally and to just take it to say, yeah, it's coming from a place that's still not healed or dealt with or accepted, you know, and with time it may come, and one hopes that it will, with a teacher that guides, you know, what's going on with that child, with the classroom and everything that's going on, and not only within the classroom, but it has to be within the school, because it can't just be a block. It has to be a movement. And I would call that really an educator movement.